Tech earnings kick off after the bell tonight with Microsoft and Alphabet reporting in. Meta and Amazon will be out later this week. We are turning to Brian Stutland, founder of Equity Armor Investments. Brian, it's still early, but there seems to be better than expected earnings news coming in. Would you buy the dips on tech ahead of earnings?
Well, I think when you look at the earnings picture that's going to play out here, we've seen, or at least we're going to expect, earnings to decline about 5%. After everybody's said and done and reported. But so far, over 70% of these companies have been beating expectations so far. Now, we do have the big names, and those names have been the leaders in this market so far this year. And it's really been about the big balance sheet and the big cap, big heavyweight names that have sort of been leading the way so far. So this is an area we're still trying to play in the market. And if there is some sort of pullback here up before reporting earnings, that might be an opportunity to sort of jump in and add some of these names you just mentioned prior to their earnings.
What can you tell us as you're gauging volatility in the stock market?
Well, we are, but there's a lot of conditions in the marketplace that are suggesting that volatility is priced about right. When we look at the spikes in volatility on the SPY ETF, that too also around 17. And take a look at it. Basically, the credit spread picture right now is actually pretty good. We've seen actually credit spreads narrow. For the rest of the general market, we're seeing a lot of that tighten up, meaning that credit is good. And that's lowered volatility because now people feel a little better to own stocks when they notice that credit and borrowing can be okay for some of these big, heavyweight, good balance sheet type names that are out there. That's going to decrease volatility. That's why you're seeing sort of this wishy-washy, very skittish about the market, maybe a recession coming down the pipeline, but yet stocks have performed quite well in this kind of environment, and volatility has been somewhat muted.
What would be your trade of the day?
Well, I think ahead of a couple of these earnings here, we saw some upside call buying in Amazon last week, suggesting that stock may move higher. It did trade lower throughout the day on Monday. So, that's a stock I'd probably look to add. Also, I expect, I continue to want to hold this correlation, so to speak, to the NASDAQ on one end of the barbell right now and staying with that larger cap. So a name like Microsoft is sort of interesting to me to sort of have the portfolio. I know it's nothing crazy and sexy, but the fact is that if the balance sheet and the free cash flow has been there, those types of names has performed. And then if you want something a little less, more stable, not so high flyer growth type name, I look at some of the consumer staples. A Pepsi, so to speak, is a name that we're looking to add to our portfolio as that credit spread has decreased and tightened up, tremendously throughout the year. And so that's a name, we probably look at as well.
Thank you so much, Brian.
Thank you.
Go to businessfirstam.com for where to see our show on TV.